Om Jnana Timirantasya Jnanam Jana Shalakaya Chakshur Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Because, it's quite tiring walking all day. You get a good appetite. But he said, you don't turn around to see me. Just you'll know I'm there. You'll hear the tinkling of my ankle. My mother put on some ankle bells, so you could hear the tinkle, tinkle, tinkle. So the Brahmin followed his direction, and he heard tink, 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 tink as he was walking along the road. Then just as they were coming, they walked all the way back to Orissa. Then, just as they were getting close to the village, he didn't hear the tinkle, tinkle anymore. So he thought, oh, what happened? I came all this distance and now Krishna is running away. Then he turned around and Krishna hadn't run away, he was standing there. So Krishna said, now you turned around, so I won't come any further. But the young man thought, anyway I'm close to the village, I'll bring the people here. So all the people came and saw Gopal. And they understood that this deity, Gopal, he has come because of the pure devotion of this Brahmana. So this kind of devotion, there are many, many, many cases where deity, he will talk, especially we see this Ramanujacharya, he was regularly talking with the deities. For any question what to do, he immediately ask. But we can't do that because we're thinking Krishna is stone. At least theoretically we should understand, here is Krishna. And offer him everything. Patram pushpam phalam tayam, water, flower, leaf, water. But especially in Kali Yuga, the Lord should be worshipped by Sankirtan, chanting of the Holiness. Especially Gaurnitai deity should be worshipped by this chanting of the Holiness. This chanting, this purifies us. And when we're sufficiently purified, then we can understand God. Tashi Krishna namadi na bhavad grahyam indriya sevam mukhi jivado swayama evaspurati. We cannot understand Krishna by trying to grasp him with our blunt material senses. But when we develop the mood for serving him, that service beginning with the tongue, chanting Hare Krishna and taking Krishna Prasad, Krishna gradually reveals himself. Krishna is already there. Just like Prabhupada used to say, this Krishna consciousness is not an artificial imposition on the soul. Krishna consciousness is natural for everybody. Krishna is already, he's there within our heart, he's there, he's everywhere in every atom. But we cannot see him because our senses are covered by the desire for material sense gratification. People are saying, can you show me God? But they cannot even see themselves. We are the soul, we are not the body. Both God and the soul are within the body, but we cannot see because we are covered by ignorance. Therefore we should begin our seeing of God, begin our seeing of ourselves by learning. Vimura nanu pashanti jnana chakshusha. Those who can see, those who have the eyes of knowledge. And those who are great fools, they cannot understand how living entity is going from one body to another. They cannot see because they are thinking, I am this body. They cannot see how we are the soul within the body. Therefore we have to become purified. Sarvapadi vinir muktam tat paratvena nirmalam vishikena rishikesha sevanam bhakti ruchiti. You have to get free from these false designations. I am this body. I am Russian, I am American, I am dog, I am cat. When we are free from these designations, then our heart becomes purified, free from all contamination. Contamination means identification with this body. So when we are free from those false designations and we fully engage all our senses in the service of the Master of Senses, that is called devotional service. And in that position we can see God face to face and talk with Him. That is the promise of devotional service. Not that God is some remote, faraway person that we can never understand. But Krishna consciousness is meant to bring us to the position where we can talk with God face to face, dance with Him. Prabhupada once the newspaper reporters asked, can you see God face to face? Talk with Him? And Prabhupada said very matter-of-factly, yes, and so can you. We are meant for that. We are meant for living with Krishna. And even in this life, we can see Krishna, talk with Krishna, if we become purified. Primanjana churita bhakti vilochanena santa sadaiva hridayeshu vilokayanti. Those whose eyes are anointed with the ointment of love of God, they can see God directly, face to face. They see Him always within their heart. This is the purification. So you have to become purified means we have to become full of love for Krishna. This is the process to understand God. Bhaktyamam vijanati. We can understand Krishna by loving devotion, by devotional service. Others who are not devotees, they do not have the adhika, they don't have the admission into understanding God. They are completely in another dimension. They don't have any admittance into this understanding. Just like you can imagine if there are a group of nuclear physicists and they're talking with each other about nuclear physics. A layman, he cannot understand what they're talking about. Layman means who's not a specialist, who's not an expert. Or you get these chess grandmasters. They play chess with each other by speaking. You know this, they just say the move and then they play the whole game just by talking. So who's not brilliant like that, who doesn't have who doesn't have the brain for that, then he's completely lost. It doesn't mean anything to him. So same way, non-devotees, they may appear, it may seem that they know something about devotion, but they don't know anything about devotion. Mayavadis, they may talk about Krishna Bhakti, but they have no idea actually what is Krishna. Because they don't have the mercy of Krishna, because they have not surrendered to Krishna, therefore they conclude that Krishna is impersonal. They cannot come to any other conclusion, because the proper understanding that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and that we have to surrender to Him, that only comes to those who are blessed by Krishna. Those who are blessed by Krishna because they give up the envious mentality of trying to enjoy like Krishna. So, who can understand Krishna? You'll find thousands and thousands of people with the wrong idea. And therefore people think that the wrong idea is the right idea. Because everybody is saying the wrong idea. Therefore the people think that the mass must be correct. But the fact is, Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschid yatati siddhya yatitamapi siddhanam kaschin mam veti tadvata. That out of thousands among men, one is serious enough to try to understand the Absolute Truth. And out of those who have made some progress in understanding the Absolute Truth, even among so many of them, hardly one can understand. It's not so easy to understand Krishna. That so many references are there. Avichintya tattve. Where is that verse from? Avichintya tattve. It's in Brahma Samhita. That he said, Avichintya tattve is not possible even by very deep mental probing. It's not possible to understand Krishna. Krishna is beyond our brain power. Chirang vichinvam, also there's prasad leshanu, what is that? Atapide deva patam vajadvaya, prasad leshanu grahita evahi, jana hitadram bhagavan yachanya ekopi chirang vichinvam. It's not possible to understand Krishna even by millions of years of mental adjustments. Fantastu koti shatavatsara sampragamyo vayora tapi manaso muni pungavanam sopyasti yaprapadasinya vinchintyata. There we have it. Avichintyata, govindamadi purusham punhamija. Krishna, even you're trying by yogic method, mental method, even over many, many millions of lifetimes, you cannot begin to understand him because he is avichintyata, beyond, he is durvibhavyam, beyond the power of the materialistic brain to understand. But we can understand him. How can we understand him? Prasad leshanu grihita eva. One who is favored with even a slight drop of Krishna's mercy, he can understand Krishna. So that mercy, that comes by following the process of Krishna consciousness, which begins by hearing about Krishna. Nitya siddha Krishna bhakti shadha kadunai shravanadi shuddha chitte kariye udoy. Devotion to Krishna is dormant in everyone's heart. And by the process of devotional service, beginning with hearing about him, it becomes manifested. This hearing about Krishna is so important. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted, even he rejected so many processes of spiritual elevation. When he was discussing with Rai Ramananda, Ramananda Rai suggested so many different processes of spiritual upliftment. And again, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Eho bhajya age kaha. This is not very important. Speak something else. But when Rai Ramananda suggested that we simply hear about Krishna, then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he accepted this. Sthane stita shrutigatam tanuvam manobhir yi prayasha jitajita apitaistrī lokyam. He says, let's start at the beginning of the verse. Gyane prayasam. First of all, give up the endeavor to understand Krishna simply by your speculative process. That endeavor is called Jnane Prayas, the endeavor. So Jnane Prayasam Udapasya, give it up. Jnane Prayasam Udapasya Namanta Eva, become humble. This is the difference between a devotee and a non-devotee. The non-devotees are very proud. I am God. I know everything. I don't need to surrender to anybody. But devotional service, that begins with bowing down, humility, accepting, I am not very great, I simply have to serve. We can understand God by humbly hearing about Him. Jnane prayasam udapasya namanta eva jivanti sanmukharitam bhavadiyavartam. We should live our lives how? By hearing about Krishna from realized devotees. Sthane stita. Whatever you're doing, you can do. If you're a householder, you can remain a householder. You're sannyasi, remain a sannyasi. But what you should do is shutigatam tanuvam manobhir. We should dedicate ourselves to hearing about Krishna and engage in His service, mind, body and words. And anyone who endeavors in this way, he can conquer Krishna. Krishna's one name is Ajit, means he cannot be conquered. But he is conquered by the love of his devotee. You see, God is so great, the yogis, after so many years, millions of lifetimes, they can hardly approach the tip of the lotus feet of the tip of the toe of the lotus feet of Govinda. Everyone is praying to Krishna, oh my dear God, you are very great. Oh Krishna, you are very great. But Mother Yashoda is chasing him with a stick. You rascal Krishna, I'll beat you. And Krishna is running away in fear. So Mother Yashoda has become greater than Krishna. Because Krishna, of course, no one is greater than God. But God accepts the position that my devotee is greater than me. You see, baby Krishna, the older gopis, the age of Mother Yashoda, they're all dancing and they're clapping their hands and singing like this. And baby Krishna is dancing to please them. So the devotee becomes greater than God. The impersonalists want to become one with God. But the devotees, they become greater than God. The devotees are clapping their hands and God is dancing. So the devotee's position is greater than that of the impersonalist. So in every way, if we examine this idea of impersonal realization, it is a great mistake. Of course, there is such a process of impersonal realization, but that is not a very pleasing process. This klesha adhika, those who follow this impersonal path, simply they have a lot of problems. Those who are on the path of devotional service from the very beginning, it's joyful. So that is a fact also. Impersonal, the Absolute is impersonal, that's also true. But that's not the complete truth. God is impersonal, but He's also personal. God means that He's complete. If we say that God is only personal without impersonal feature, that is not God because not complete. And if we say that the Absolute is impersonal and there's no personality in that, then that is also incomplete. So the proper understanding of the Absolute Truth is that personality is there and impersonality is also there. That Krishna also states in the Bhagavad Gita. Maya tatamidam sarvam jagat avyakta murtina matsthani sarva bhutani nachaham teshvavastita. He says, by me, in my unmanifested form, this whole universe is pervaded. Everything is in me, but I am not in it. But you see, he says, Maya, by me. It's personality, even though he is spread everywhere, his personality is not lost. The Mayavadis, they think that Krishna, his form is a product of the impersonal, unmanifest Absolute. But Krishna says, Maya, by me, this universe is pervaded. And even more directly, he debunks the idea that his form is a product of the impersonal, unmanifest. Avyaktam vyaktim apanam manyante mam abuddhaya. He says that those who think that my form is a product of the unmanifest, impersonal Absolute, they are fools because they're wrong. Rather, the impersonal Absolute, that is resting upon the personal feature of Krishna. Brahmano hi pratishtaham, the impersonal Brahman is resting on Krishna. But those who say that the personal feature is subordinate to the impersonal, they are wrong, and if they preach it, they are great rascals because they're misleading people. And they're rascals because they're denying Krishna's personality, they're envious of Krishna. Avajananti mang mudha manushin tanamashritam param bhavma jananto. What was the last name? Param bhavma jananto. Mamabhuta Maheshwaram. Says that Avajananti mang, those who do not recognize me, they are rascals. Avajananti mang mudha. Those who don't recognize, those who think that this human-like form is just another human being, they're all rascals. Krishna appeared in this world apparently like one of us. And not everybody understood that he was the Supreme Person. But those that didn't, Krishna says, they're all rascals. And what was true then is true now also. Now we find so many people, they say the Supreme is Nirakara, no form. But if there's no form, then why the Acharyas are establishing the form in the temple? Are the great Acharyas, are they all fools? These are the great authorities on spiritual life. Are they all fools? They're all composing so many prayers to God in His deity form. Are they all fools? So many beautiful prayers are there describing the form of Krishna. Is everything lotus-like. Nama Pankaja Nabhaya Nama Pankaja Maline Nama Pankaja Netraya Namaste Pankajangrahe. Kunti Devi offers prayers to Krishna. His navel like a lotus, his lotus flower garland, his eyes are like lotuses, lotus feet, everything beautiful, lotus-like. So is it all just imagination? It's not imagination. So the Mayavadis, they don't like to hear Krishna glorified. They say God is all-powerful, but they don't actually believe it. They have no actual faith in God, and no question of any love of Him. They say God is all-powerful, He can do anything. But when we tell them that Krishna lifted a hill when He was 7 years old, great Govardhan hill, and held it for 7 days, they say, oh, how is that possible? That is simply mythology, they say. They refuse to believe it. But what is lifting a little hill to Krishna? For you or me to lift a hill, that is beyond our imagination. They have this Olympic weightlifting championship. They see who can hold some big heavy weight. But none of them can lift a hill, let alone hold it for 7 days. So they think, well, I can't do it, therefore God can't do it either. Because I'm God. So how can God do anything? God means He is holding millions of universes. What is holding a little hill to Him? Chaitanya Charitamrita describes that this whole universe is held by the Lord in His incarnation of Ananta Shesh. Now you know what a mustard seed is? Have you, those who are cooking, they see how small is a mustard seed. Now imagine if you have a mustard seed in your hair. Of course, brahmachari is supposed to have shaved hair, they're not supposed to have any hair. But imagine if you have a mustard seed in your hair. You can't, of course you could have it in your shika. So, anyway, you wouldn't even know it's there. It's so light, it's so small you can't feel it. So this whole universe with all its planets and mountains and this huge, huge universe, that is like a mustard seed on the head of Ananta Shesh. And some rascal nonsense is making some little magic, showing some ashes. He is God, they say. My guru is God. He makes some ashes. Therefore I accept him as God. This is, I don't know, is there any word? We should make up some new word. Just like Yamaraj will have to make a new hell for him. Normal hells won't be good enough. You have to have a maxi hell. So these people, they deny, oh, no, he cannot lift a hill for 7 days. But if you take someone's making some ashes, oh, he is God. Making ashes, what is that? Anyone can make some ashes. Burn a little wood and you get some ashes. So, or even sometimes he shows a little gold. That you can get from a jeweler. Who is actually God, He is making millions and billions of universes with huge gold mines. But because of Mayavad, people accept some miserable cheater who's the most ugly person in the world as God. So we should know who God is. It's not difficult to understand because Srila Prabhupada has very kindly brought the science of Krishna consciousness and taught us very clearly. Krishna is Bhagavan Swayam. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Not you, not me, not anyone else, not some imagination. God is a person. That person is Krishna. So let us serve Krishna. Let us avoid the association of those who are not interested in serving Krishna. That Bhaktivinoda Thakur is teaching in this song. Is there any question?
So what is the difference between Mayavad and impersonalism, and what kind of modes of nature, respectively, connected with the Mayavad and impersonalism? What is the difference between them and what kind of...
Mayavad, impersonalism is the English word for Mayavad. What modes of nature? Principally mode of ignorance, because their philosophical understanding is completely darkness. If those who are strict Mayavadis, who, like I said, are very difficult to find nowadays, their lifestyle may be in the mode of goodness, but their philosophy is still very much in the mode of ignorance. So in such a case you could say that they're principally in the mode of ignorance, but with some addition of the mode of goodness. Actually, the whole material world is predominated by ignorance. The nature of material existence is ignorance. We say mode of goodness, passion and ignorance, but it's all ignorance. It's different different grades of ignorance. The mode of goodness is considered better because, what is that? Sattvam sukham sanjayat. And there's one verse which is, from the mode of goodness, knowledge can develop. It is more conducive to getting free from ignorance. But in itself, it is not a position of knowledge. It's all, simply to be in the mode of goodness, that's also a position of ignorance. So, Mayavad, that is a philosophical system which is for increasing our ignorance to the highest level. There's no greater ignorance than Mayavad. Any other question?
It's hard to understand if you, for example, engage in devotional service, but sometimes you see that this is manifesting like Mayavad.
What is it? Is that the question?
Yeah,
is that a question or is it just a statement?
The question is how Mayavada is manifesting in devotional service.
Yeah, well, when as much as we don't recognize Krishna's supremacy, that much we are infected by Mayavada. If we think the deity is simply a brass idol, then we're influenced by Mayavada. If we think that Krishna's property is different from Krishna, then that is also Mayavada. We're not recognizing Krishna's that Krishna is the master. So if we mistreat Krishna's property, just like sometimes devotees think, well, they don't bother to look after the temple very nicely. So that's also a manifestation of Mayavada. This boy had a question?
He's saying, why women have
a question?
You understood? Why women has to have long hair and small, and men have to have short hair?
No, men are not supposed to have short hair. They're supposed to have shaved heads. Women are supposed to look like beautiful gopis for Krishna. But men are not supposed to look very beautiful because they don't want to attract the beautiful gopis towards them. Any other question?
So in which way one should develop your relationship with the deities? Through the spiritual master?
Yes, not directly. Directly means we're given the chance to serve. But we always remember that I'm doing this by the mercy of my spiritual master, on the order of my spiritual master. Therefore in deity worship, always the worship of the Guru must be done first. Both things means every living being has an eternal relationship with Krishna. So the relationship with Krishna is there, but that has to be developed by the mercy of the spiritual master, not independently.
He's saying that many things in Veda, it seems like impossible to understand. It is because of our material consciousness?
Yes. What is impossible to understand?
Relationship with the deities, for example.
Why should that be impossible to understand?
He's saying, of course, this is spiritual life, but this is like material,
That's the point, because we don't know how great is God. God wants to take such a form, how can we deny Him? That is His mercy, that He gives us the chance to serve Him. Why should God not be able to do that? Is there any reason why God cannot take the form of it?
He's saying, of course, God is all powerful, but sometimes there is some problems in the mind, you don't believe.
So, let's discuss. God is all powerful. Is it accepted or not?
Of course.
Yeah, so then, if He wants to take such a form, who is to deny Him? Now, this worship of God in the deity form, that is accepted by all the acharyas who are the experts on understanding God. So they have accepted God in this form. So at least theoretically we can understand. Even if to our vision this is a brass-made idol, we can understand theoretically, at least theoretically, that God has taken this form. This is God. If we start to worship Him in that love, then He'll reveal Himself.
Question, can we consider the pictures in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, pictures of Krishna as deities? Can we consider?
Yeah, but they're not generally, they can be worshipped, but they're not, it's not that every picture is worshipped as a deity, exactly. Deity worship means there should be regular arati, offering of food. So the form of Krishna is not different from Krishna. But not every picture is worshipped thus. You'll find especially in South India, many families, at least until recently, they used to worship Shalagram Shila. They also had a painting of Krishna in their home. And generation after generation, they'd offer everything to Krishna in the form of his painting. So that's also one form of the deity. But nowadays, of course, we have mass-produced pictures. What to speak of the pictures in Bhagavad Gita? Bhagavad Gita, that's also non-different from Krishna. That's also a deity. Once devotees on traveling Sankirtan, they asked Prabhupada if they could bring deities with them. Prabhupada wrote that you're already taking my books, you can worship them. Previously, books were also worshipped. Still in Sikh religion, they worship Granth Sahib, the Yeah, religious book. In many religious functions in India, you'll find before they read Srimad Bhagavatam, they'll offer arati. So you can do. But also by seriously reading Bhagavad Gita, that's also worshipping Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says, anyone who reads this, he worships me with his intelligence. So Bhagavad Gita is also deity, but it may not be that every form we worship with arati and all these things. You can do also. But you worship Krishna in his Bhagavad Gita form by reading, trying to understand. You worship Krishna in the form of his holy name by chanting. The name of Krishna, the form of Krishna, the instructions of Krishna, they're all Krishna, they're not different from Krishna. Any other question?
When you engage in devotional service, sometimes some thoughts come that this is something like play or something like this, and then how to become so determined so that these thoughts would not enter?
Well, bad thoughts may enter, but we should let them enter and go. That Yamunacharya, he states, because Yamunacharya, he was a great devotee, but in his previous life he was a king, and he had much sensual enjoyments with women. So even after giving that up and coming to Krishna consciousness, he admits that sometimes those thoughts of my previous life came to my mind. Yadavadhi mama cheta Krishna padara vinde Nava rasadhamanya yadantam asid. Then next line, Bhavati mukha vikara sushtu nishtivanamcha Tadavati bhatanari sangame smayamani Bhavati mukha vikara sushtu nishtivanamcha. He says, whenever those thoughts enter my mind of how I used to enjoy sense gratification with women, then my lips curl with distaste and I spit at the thought. So such thoughts may come that, well, why don't I just become a normal sausage-eating person? Drink a bottle of vodka every so often and fall down urinating in the street. But we should consider with our intelligence, is there God or not? You just think logically that this whole creation has not come out of nothing, there must be a reason. So there must be God, and Krishna consciousness is the best way to know God. And therefore it's not all cheating. Practically, before I came to Krishna consciousness, I thought everyone is simply cheating. Then when I came to Prabhupada, I saw he is one person who is not cheating. So logically you can understand. There must be God, and simply to eat sausages is not the goal of life. We have to understand God. And also we should have that firm faith that my spiritual master is not cheating me. So how can I give up his service? It takes 2 minutes, 3 minutes to describe it, but it should be just like automatic. Any bad thought comes, just put yourself back in shape immediately. Don't play around with your mind. It should be a very simple, easy thing to understand. This is it. No going back. This is my life. Are you initiated? Once you take initiation, then no going back. Initiation means you take the vow. This is it. Nothing else. Of course, people do. Even after taking initiation, they fall down. Actually, if you're even thinking of falling down, don't take initiation. Give up all other thoughts. Alright, this is the last question, because I'll be here tomorrow also, but I have some things also I have to discuss. Okay, one more question. Alright, let me take this, because he already asked.
Can you in shortly explain what is your biography?
It's very, very simple. I was an animal with 2 hands and 2 legs. Still am. But by Prabhupada's grace, I'm now an animal who sounds Hare Krishna coming out of my mouth. So that's my life in 20 seconds. Alright, we have some. You can explain. So, I think we have to discuss a little, myself, Panchatattva, Kana, about this book. And we have to do it probably now because he has to leave. So let's go. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.